Who is wife of Uncle Toby Belch? Who is the Puritan character in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night? Puritan character in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. If music be the food of love, play on. In which book we get the line, beware of the Ides of March? Who says Vini Vidi Vici? What do you mean by this, Vini Vidi Vici? In which book we have a line, I'm skipping the name of the girl, the fire of my heart, the fire of my loins. Lolita, very good. Who has written Lolita? Name the writer who gave, question from literary theory. Name the writer who gave 7 major functions and 31 small functions to analyze the story. Vladimir Prop. What is the famous work written by Vladimir Prop? उसने लिखा था ना? Morphology of the folk tale. That is the part of narratology. Name the person who has coined the term dialogism. Mikhail Bakhtin. What do you mean by aporia? What is lang? Lang क्या होता है? Lang. And what is parole? Okay, one tough question. The lang and parole concept has been redeveloped by Noam Chomsky under the phrase competence and performance. बहुत बढ़िया. अब competence and performance, the same concept has been developed by Russian formalist studies. What are the phrases? Fabula and suicide. Who will tell me 5 parts of wasteland? Fast. Fast. 8 ecclesiastical characters in Chaucer. I may not get your proper answers, but I want you to be fastest. 5 seconds. 5 सेकंड में अपने आप से पूछो तुम कितना रेडी हो. 1 महीना एग्जाम के अंदर अपने आप को बताओ कि हम रेडी हैं. 4 characters praised by Chaucer. Who is the last storyteller? Who has written Praise of Folly? In which book we have character OGDOEZ? Name the famous character who is known as Cora. Question of net exam. What do you mean by the title Macflechno? What do you mean by the Latin phrase annus mirabilis? What are those 3 years mentioned? Dryden became poet laureate in an year. Rudyard Kipling won Nobel Award in 1907. Rabindranath Tagore won Nobel Award in which Indian poetry we have a line, one would take his kingdom, one would take his wife. Who has written philosophical epic Savitri? Who has written Devdas? In which famous Indian novel a family is looking for a suitable boy, the name of the girl is Lata? Which is the longest novel in Indian English fiction? Name the writer who started the tradition of picaresque novel. Daniel Defoe. हाँ, क्योंकि वो proper writer, he is the first one to start it. Do we have anybody who knows the female picaresque character? Moll Flanders, बहुत बढ़िया. What is the timing of the newspaper Tatler? 1709 to 1711. What is the record, Guinness Book record? At that time there was no Guinness Book. But what is the record of Spectator magazine? 60,000 copies sold in a single day. How many characters are there in Spectator Club? Who will name them fastest? क्या बात है, बात बहुत बढ़िया. सच में 5 सेकंड में. Very good. Who will tell? Okay, questions from Americans. Jaldi आओ Rakshita, तुम जल्दी आओ. Questions from Americans. Name the famous author who was the husband of Hollywood superstar Marilyn Monroe. What is the name of the two sons of Willie Loman? It's a question in exam. Biff and Happy. They are compared to two people. ये नेट का क्वेश्चन है. Who is Hercules? Biff is Hercules. Venus वाला जो है वो लड़का Happy है. In which book we have a beautiful line? Man can be destroyed but never defeated. What is the name of the fish in Old Man at the Sea? What is the name of the fish in Moby Dick? Name the famous writer who wrote a lot of works dealing with sea experience. He himself was a naval officer and was coming from Poland. He is known as a Polish English writer. Good, Joseph Conrad, Polish English writer. Who said, like, there is a famous writer, he used a word which created a controversy. In 1975, somebody called someone bloody racist. Who? Chinua H.B. Conrad. When Salman Rushdie was in hiding, he was using two pseudonyms. Joseph Anton, based on two writers. Okay, name the writer who wrote a non-fiction narration of a murder called In Cold Blood. Truman Capote. Who has written the famous work To Kill a Mockingbird? In which book a character goes on a mountain, becomes unconscious, when he returns, 20 years have been passed? Rip Van Winkle. Rest in peace, Rip Van Winkle. Very good. Name the famous writer from American literature who has written a famous poetry collection. Poetry collection की बात कर रहा हूँ, about a famous poetry collection. I know why the caged bird sing. Close. Maya Angelou. Afro-Americans में आती है, ठीक है. One more question. Robert Frost has won 4 Pulitzer Awards. Name the other writer who has won 4 Pulitzer Awards. Eugene O'Neill, 4 times Pulitzer Award. What is the name of the book? Strange Interlude, Beyond the Horizon, Long Day Journey into the Night. One more, Anna Christie. Very good. Let's go for Russian literature. Who has won Nobel Award 1933? Ivan Bunin. Very good. Name the writer who is famous for Pushkin sonnet. Who has written Overcoat? Okay, and what's the name of the hero in Overcoat? Akake. Who dies at the end in Cherry Orchard? Question of net. First. He dies at the end. Who said, medicine is my lawful wife, literature is my mistress? किसने कहा था? Who has written a short story, Grief? In Anna Karenina, what is the opening line? In Anna Karenina, all families are happy, families are all alike. Sabash, it's a world classic opening line, don't miss it. Happy families are all alike, those unhappy are unhappy in their own way. In which book we have the last line and a question of that exam? Vanitas Vanitatum. And what is the idea of superfluous hero? A super rich Byronic hero. What are the traits of Byronic hero? According to, let's go for criticism. According to Longinus, there are 5 ways of achieving sublimity. 5 तरीके हैं, बताओ. Use of figures, nobility of diction, elevated commotion. क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया. According to Horace, there is a term called poetic license. What does that mean? The Horatian concept of decorum has been connected to Indian aesthetics. औचित्य विचारधारा, decorum, बहुत बढ़िया. Who has coined the term objective correlative? Who has coined the term pathetic fallacy? Pathetic. John Ruskin. Who has coined the term intentional fallacy? And affective fallacy? Who propounded the idea of hearsay of paraphrasing? Okay, what do you mean by touchstone? A musical instrument by Plato was banned. Okay, who has divided tragedy or a drama in 6 essential parts? How many chapters are there in poetics? बहुत बढ़िया. How many chapters are devoted to tragedy only? 6 to 19, total 14. Who talks about the collection, selection, arrangement theory? Aristotle. Diction में Aristotle. Who said episodic plots are boring plots? Okay, now there is an English writer who copied a great Greek writer and was criticized for the same thing. Nothing is original, all is stolen. Alexander Pope. Who is known as the father of liberal criticism? Who is called father of biographical criticism? Samuel Johnson. Who wrote lives of poets? Okay, now some easy question. What are the names of 4 characters in essay on dramatic poesy? Now make it tough. Who is Neander? What do you mean by Neander? Who is Lycidius? Charles Sedley. Who speaks in support of blank verse? Crites. Who supports French drama? Lycidius. Who defends Shakespearean use of tragic comedy? Okay, थोड़े से अब डेट ओरिएंटेड क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. नेम द फर्स्ट बुकर अवार्डी बुक. First book to win Booker Award. P.S. Newby. Something to? Okay, name the first writer who talks about India, Indian reference. हाँ, and has won Booker Award. Ruth Pravar Jha वाला आंसर आ गया, बहुत बढ़िया. Arundhati Roy won the Booker Award in 2006. Somebody won Booker Award from India. And with the fact of Kiran Desai, I told you she is in Live-In with Orhan Pamuk. Who won Booker Award 2008? Okay, now last question for this thing. New criticism, practical criticism, formalist and structuralist. They came with the final idea. What is the final idea? Smartly, listen to the question again. Smartly. All reading is a misreading and meaning is dependent on context. Then what was the contribution of post-structuralism? Post-structuralism ने क्या बोला? Yes, post-structuralist said meaning is not possible because context is not stable. So when structuralist said meaning can be found with context, post-structuralist said nahin, not possible. Then came deconstruction. What did deconstruction say? There is nothing out of the text. Did you understand the concept of aporia? What is the idea of carnivalesque theory? Carnivalesque. Faces, discourse. What do you mean by the word discourse? Discourse क्या होता है? Discourse itself is a term by Michel Foucault. याद रखना. Discourse अपने आप एक term है. ठीक है, काफी हद तक रिवीजन बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. Now tell me this thing. कितने लोगों को मजा आया? 10 मिनट में जल्दी जल्दी सारा रिवीजन हो गया ना? एक बार या अभी बाकी है 5 मिनट और लगाऊं? 5 मिनट्स और? चलो बहुत बढ़िया. रोमांटिक लिटरेचर से कुछ नहीं पूछा ना? What is the name of the idiot boy in Idiot Boy? क्या बात, वेरी गुड, वेरी बहुत बढ़िया. Name the lady she was shivering in cold goes to steal woods. Goody Blake. In which book of Prelude Wordsworth talks about meeting Coleridge? In which book of Prelude it is highly dedicated to French Revolution? 9 books से याद आया. In Paradise Lost, who creates pandemonium? That artist, who crafts it? Mulciber. What is the name of the angel who helps the Satan in disguise to find Eden Garden? Uriel. Miss कर रहा है. How does Saturn enter in Eden Garden? Who has written Anatomy of Melancholy? Timing? According to John Donne, death lives in sickness, war, poison. War, sickness and poison. And according to John Donne, death is slave of fate, chance, kings and desperate men. According to John Donne, you can get a baby from a plant. What's the name of the plant? Mandrake root. According to John Donne, you can hear the invisible music. You know, something that cannot be felt. That music comes from whose music? Mermaid's music. And how many days you have to ride the horse? 10,000 days and nights. Name the famous work written by John Donne where he compares his beloved with a new colony. Oh my America, my newfound land, safely as heaven with one man. My empire, my precious stones. That is elegy on his mistress going to bed. Who has written these beautiful lines? Had we but the world enough, O lady. This coin is for no coin. Where do you get this beautiful line? India's glowing gems unlocks all Arabia breeze. What is the name of Belinda's friend who instigates her? And name the goddess of the cave where the spirit. What is the name of the dog of Belinda? Question of net. What is the name of the parrot? Matthew Arnold in Sohrab and Rustam talks about a story taken from. Where do we get this line? Truth sits on the lips of dying man. Matthew Arnold wrote a famous work to dedicate to his father. Name. Who is Lady with the Lamp? What is the name of Ulysses' son? Okay, great. Really happy. Proud of you guys. आपके लिए बहुत बढ़िया. चलो अब थ्योरी पे चलते हैं. अब लिटरेरी थ्योरी पे चलते हैं. बहुत बढ़िया. Proud of you.